Alright, here we are back in Assassin's Creed 3. This episode, we're going to take down some of these forts, liberate some areas, and collect some almanack pages. And we're going to read all those, so be prepared for that. First, we have Fort Division. And we're going to go ahead and cause some havoc here. Hopefully silently. Next up, we got Fort Washington. And we kind of remember Fort Washington from before. We passed it a little bit, but we found a way in. And now we're going to go ahead and liberate this place. Next, we find a man in this burned out area of New York.
At least you're no beast like most of these people. Anybody who's immune has already fled. Cowards.
And who are you?
Jamie Colley. You need to keep doing what you're doing. Nobody else is. If we both get after it, we might be able to quell this monster of a disease.
I will do what I can.
I'll be lending a hand to these doctors. Find me once you think you've done enough, and maybe we can do more.
Seems that we need to just keep up doing whatever we're doing. Oh, look at that. We got 24 of 24 trinkets for peg leg. Let's help out this guy. That might help our situation with that gentleman.
Mister, can you help me? Man. My father's real sick.
The sickness
he needs
just
a healer.
Exploded out of
Can you
nowhere.
carry him to one?
I hope for my boy's sake that I survive it.
How did you get it?
Oh, don't know. Haven't talked to anybody with it.
Alright, well, I guess we're done with that. Oh, and it looks like we need to put down rabid dogs as well. Once we're done over there, or at least for now, we can read about Broadway. This is one of the oldest streets in New York City, if not the oldest, since its origins go back even before the days of New Amsterdam. It started out as Wickwasgex Trail, that's a mouthful, used by the indigenous peoples to cross Manhattan Island. It was turned into a street by the Dutch, who called it Breedweg, literally Broadway. In modern New York, the street begins at the Bowling Green and extends across the entire island of Manhattan through the financial district and past Times Square and Columbia University. Of course, at the time you're visiting, Broadway ends at the City Common. The most famous stretch of the street, the Theater District, is still wilderness, so you're more likely to catch a bullet there than a show, which in some ways is preferable. And now that we're done with Broadway, it seems we've missed an entry or two. The Great Fire of New York, date September 21st, 1776. The Great Fire destroyed as much as a quarter of the buildings in New York and caused a housing crisis that lasted as long as the British occupation of the city. New York at the time was largely deserted. First, Loyalists had moved out as the Continental Army moved in, and then the Continental Army left, and many of the Patriots went with it. Many buildings were empty, and the conditions were dry, so when the flames started, they spread quickly, ripping through the poorer sections of the city, and seeming to spread to several places at once. This is probably part of what caused rumors that the Continental Army was responsible. Such a big fire couldn't have been an accident. Except it seems it was. There's no proof that the rebels were involved at all. Washington had considered setting fire to the city as he retreated, but Congress had voted against it. Washington was fairly clear in his writing about the event. Providence, or some good honest fellow, has done more for us than we were disposed to do for ourselves. That is, wasn't us. But I'm not sorry it happened. Next up, we hear Maria, some random woman, yelling for help. Let's go and see what she needs.
Where is your mother?
Follow me.
nothing, wench!
Let me go! Please!
Bugger
Help
off.
me!
I guess you want a
I'm begging
beating!
you to help me! Why won't you listen?
Leave.
That wasn't necessary. I can handle myself. When he returns, he'll try and give me twice the thrashing.
Why would you stay with such a man?
This is my house and business. It's my tailoring that paid for this place. I'll take his drunken buffoonery over leaving behind what I built.
If I told you there was another place where you could live and work, free of him, would you consider it?
The catch?
No catch. Our village is growing and in need of all forms of trade. Just business and a new life.
I'll come and see if what you say is true.
And with that, hopefully we get somebody else in the village. For now, we'll read Poor Richard's Almanack, 1737, Volume 2. 5. Monday, July, hath 31 days. Impudent Jack, who lives by his shifts, borrowing of driblets, boldly begging gifts. For 20 shillings lent him the other day, by one who never expected he would pay. On his friend's paper fain a note would write. His friend as needless did refuse it quite. Paper was scarce, and 'twas too hard, it's true, to part with cash and lose his paper too. Certainly these things agree. The priest, the lawyer, death, all three. Death takes both the weak and the strong. The lawyer takes from both right and wrong. And the priest from the living and dead has his fee. The worst wheel of the cart makes the most noise. 6. Monday, August hath 31 days. On his deathbed poor Lubin lies, his spouse is in despair. With frequent sobs and mutual cries, they both express their care. A different cause, says Parson Sly, the same effect may give. Poor Lubin fears that he shall die, his wife that he may live. Don't misinform your doctor, nor your lawyer. I never saw an oft-transplanted tree, nor yet an oft-removed family, that throve so well as those that settled be. 7. Monday, September hath 30 days. Tomorrow you'll reform, you always cry. In what far country does this morrow lie, that it is so mighty long ere it arrive? Beyond the Indies does this morrow live? 'Tis so far-fetched, this morrow, that I fear 'twill be both very old and very dear. Tomorrow I'll reform, the fool does say. Today itself, too late, the wise did yesterday. Let the letter stay for the post, and not the post for the letter. 3 good meals a day is bad living. 'Tis better leave for an enemy at one's death than beg of a friend in one's life, to whom thy secret thou dost tell. To him thy freedom thou dost sell. 8 Monday. October has 31 days. On T, who destroyed his landlord's fine wood, indulgent nature of each kind bestows a secret instinct to discern its foes. The goose, a silly bird, avoids the fox. Lambs fly from wolves, and sailors steer from rocks. A rogue the gallows, as his fate foresees, and bears the like antipathy to trees. If you'd have a servant that you like, serve yourself. He that pursues 2 hares at once does not catch one, and lets the other go. If you want a neat wife, choose her on a Saturday. If you have time, don't wait for time. 9 Monday. November hath 30 days. You say you'll spend £500, the world and men to know, and take a tour all Europe round, improving as you go, dear Sam, in search of others' sense, discover not your own. But wisely double the expense, that you may pass unknown. Tell a miser he's rich and a woman she's old, you'll get no money of one, nor kindness of other. Don't go to the doctor with every distemper, nor to the lawyer with every quarrel, nor to the pot for every thirst. 10 Monday. December hath 31 days. Women are books, and men are the readers to be, who sometimes in those books errants see. Let oft the readers, raptured with each line, fair prints and paper, fraught with sense divine, though some neglectful seldom care to read, and faithful wives no more than Bibles heed, are women books, says Hodge. Then would mine were an almanack to change her every year. The creditors are a superstitious sect, great observers of set days and times. The noblest question in the world is, what good may I do in it? Nec sibi, sed toto genitium se credir mundo. Nothing so popular as goodness. In my last, I published some enigmatical prophecies which I did not expect anyone would take for serious predictions. The explanation I promised follows, viz. 1. The water of the sea and rivers is raised in vaporous by the sun, is formed into clouds in the air, and thence descends in rain. Now, when there is rain overhead, which frequently happens when the wind is at northeast, the cities and places on the earth below are certainly underwater. 2. The power with which we were not then at war but which it was said would take many full-laden vessels out of our ports before the end of the year, is the wind. Those forces are not described either coming or going. 3. The army which it was said would land in Virginia, Maryland, and the lower counties on Delaware were not musketeers with guns on their shoulders, as some expected, but their namesake in pronunciation, though truly spelt mosquitoes, armed only with a sharp sting. Everyone knows they are fish before they fly, being bred in the water, and therefore may properly be said to land before they become generally troublesome. A wonderful prophecy for January 1737, which consists entirely of odd figures. Ere of this odd year 1 month has rolled, what wonders, reader, shall the world behold? 4 kings with mighty force shall Albion's isle infest with wars and tumults for a while. Then some shall unexpected treasures gain, while some mourn o'er an empty purse in vain. And many a Christian's heart shall ache for fear, when they our dreadful sound of trump shall hear. Dead bones shall then be tumbled up and down in every city, in every town. Next we run upon Trinity Church, while going up to a viewpoint that I missed before. Trinity Church. It's unfortunate you're too late to see Trinity Church before it burned. Construction on a new church won't start until 1788. Trinity is a bit of an institution in New York, especially in the late 18th century. The church founded both the Trinity School and King's College, which later became Columbia University. They love telling us that. St. Paul's Chapel is another offshoot of the church. You can't get a better indication of how loyalists New York was than that. It had 2 branches of the same Anglican church operating within blocks of one another. William Kidd, yes, the famous pirate, lent some of his ship's equipment to help build the original church. The one you see here burned, which was nice of him. Many people these days consider many pirates to have been rather progressive socialists with community-minded consciences, which I rather feel takes away from their mystique. It's like finding out Genghis Khan had solar panels. Anyway, Kidd had even reserved a pew here, though he left New York before he ever got to sit in it. The church building in modern-day New York is the 3rd Trinity building. When it was finished in 1846, it was the tallest building in New York. Of course, it's at the corner of Wall Street, so you can imagine how tall it looks now compared to the local skyscrapers, showing you who really has the influence now. Heading atop Trinity Church, or what remains, we can synchronize with the viewpoint. A little bit after that, we run into Trinity School. The school opened in 1709 as a charity school, meaning it was free to attend, and the students would have been from poorer families. At the time, most well-to-do children would have been educated at home. The school was originally in the bell tower of the Trinity Church, but by the time you're seeing it, it's moved across the street. This is the only school that remained open during British occupation of New York, probably because it was endowed by Trinity Church, which was loyalist. Of course, Trinity also funded King's College, which was closed and used as a military hospital, but universities are known liberal hotbeds. After the Revolutionary War, the government started to focus on free public education, and the city eventually stopped funding church schools, preferring to fund secular ones. Trinity School became a private preparatory school, which it still is. It's prestigious, expensive, and it's been accepting students for 300 years. That's a long time for the colonies. Of course, Eton was founded in England in 1440. That's 20 years before Ezio was born, and around 50 years before Columbus discovered an America that Etonians would enjoy a proud tradition of looking down on for centuries to come. Now that we're done with that, we can collect a fourth almanack page and read the completed copy of Volume 1, 1738. Preface by Mistress Saunders. Dear readers, my good man set out last week for Potomac to visit an old stargazer of his acquaintance and see about a little place for us to settle and end our days on. He left a copy of his almanac sealed up and bid me send it to the press. I suspected something, and therefore as soon as he was gone, I opened it to see if he had not been flinging some of his old skits at me, just as I thought. So it was, and truly, for want of somewhat else to say, I suppose, he had put into his preface that his wife, Bridget, was this, and that, and the other. What a peascods! Cannot I have a little fault or two, but all the country must see it in print? They have already been told, at one time that I am proud, another time that I am loud, and that I have got a new petticoat, and abundance of that kind of stuff. And now, forsooth, all the world must know that poor Dick's wife has lately taken a fancy to drink a little tea now and then. A mighty matter, truly, to make a song of. 'Tis true, I had a little tea of a present from the printer last year. And what? Must a body throw it away? In short, I thought the preface was not worth a printing, and so I fairly scratched it all out. And I believe you'll like our almanac, never the worse for it. Upon looking over the months, I see he has put in abundance of foul weather this year, and therefore I have scattered here and there where I could find room, some fair, pleasant, sunshiny, and sea for the good woman to dry their clothes in. If it does not come to pass according to my desire, I have shown my goodwill, however, and I hope they'll take it in good part. I have a design to make some other corrections, and particularly to change some of the verses that I don't very well like. But I have just now unluckily broke my spectacles, which obliges me to give it to you as it is, and conclude, your loving friend, Bridget Saunders. Under the head of eclipses appears the following. You will excuse me, dear readers, that I afford you no eclipses of the moon this year. The truth is, I do not find they do you any good.
When there is one, you are apt to, in observing it, to expose yourselves too much and too long to the night air, whereby great numbers of you catch cold, which was the case last year, to my very great concern. However, if you will promise to take more care of yourselves, you shall have a fine one to stare at the year after next. 11 Monday, January, hath 31 days. Dick's wife was sick, and posed the doctor's skill, who deferred how to cure the inveterate ill, purging the one prescribed, no, quoth another, that will do neither good nor harm, my brother. Bleeding the only way, 'twas quick replied, that's certain death, but e'en let Dick decide. I see no great skill, quo Richard, by the road, rude, but I think bleeding's like to do most good. Okay, I guess the word was rude. There are 3 faithful friends, an old wife, an old dog, and ready money. Great talkers should be cropped, for they have no need for ears. If they'd have your shoes last, put no nails in them. Who has deceived thee so oft as thyself? 12 Monday, February, hath 28 days. In Christendom we all are Christians now, and thus I answer, if you ask me how, where with Christ's rule our lives will not comply, we bend it like rule of lead, say I, making it thus comply, with what we be, and only thus our lives with the rule agree. But from our fathers we've the name Prechance. So as our king is called the King of France. Is there anything men take more pains about than to make themselves unhappy? Nothing brings more pain than too much pleasure, nothing more bondage than too much liberty. Read much, but not too many books. One Monday, March hath 31 days. Jack's wife was born in Wiltshire, brought up in Cumberland, led much of her life in Bedshire, sent her husband into Huntingdonshire in order to send him into Buckinghamshire. But he took courage in Hertfordshire and carried her into Staffordshire, or else he might have lived and died in Shrewsbury. He that would have a short Lent, let him borrow money to be repaid at Easter. Write with the lean, pronounce with the vulgar. Fly pleasures, and they'll follow you. Squirrel like she covers her back with her tail. Second Monday, April hath 30 days. That all from Adam first begun, since none but wisten doubts, and that his son and his son's son were ploughmen, clowns and louts. Here lies the only difference now. Some shot off late, some soon. Your sires, ith morning, left the plough, and yours, ith afternoon. Caesar did not merit the triumphal car more than he that conquers himself. Hast thou virtue? Acquire also the graces and beauties of virtue. Buy what thou hast no need of, and ere long thou shalt sell thy necessaries. If thou hast wit and learning, add it to wisdom and modesty. 3 Monday, May hath 31 days. A frugal thought. In an acre of land are 43,560 square feet. In 100 acres are 4,356,000 square feet. 20 pounds will buy 100 acres of the proprietor. In 20 euro are 4,800 pence, by which divide the number of feet in 100 acres, and you will find that 1 penny will buy 907 square feet, or a lot of 30 feet square. Save your pence. You may be more happy than princes, if you will be more virtuous, if you would not be forgotten. As soon as you are dead and rotten, either write things worth reading, or do things worth writing. Sell not virtue to purchase wealth, nor liberty to purchase power. For Monday, June hath 31 days. Epitaph on a talkative old maid. Beneath this silent stone is laid a noisy, antiquated maid, who from her cradle talked till death, and ne'er before was out of breath. Whither she's gone we cannot tell, for if she talks not, she's in hell. If she's in heaven, she's there unblessed, because she hates a place of rest. Let thy vices die before thee. Keep your eyes wide open before marriage, half shut afterwards. The ancients tell us what is best, but we must learn of the moderns what is fittest. And not long after, we get another Richard's Almanack, 1756. As I spent some weeks last winter in visiting my old acquaintance in the Jerseys, great complaints I heard for what of money, and that leave to make more paper bills could not be obtained. Friends and countrymen, my advice on this heed shall cost you nothing, and if you will not be angry with me for giving it, I promise you not to be offended if you do not take it. You spend yearly at least 200,000 pounds, it is said, in European, East Indian, and West Indian commodities. Suppose 1/2 of this expense is to be in things absolutely necessary. The other half may be called superfluities, or at best conveniences, which, however, you might live without for 1 little year, and not suffer exceedingly. Now, to save this half, observe these few directions. 1. When you incline to have new clothes, look first well over the old ones, and see if you cannot shift them with them another year, either by scouring, mending, or even patching if necessary. Remember, a patch on your coat and money in your pocket is better and more credible than a writ on your back and no money to take it off. 2. When you are inclined to buy chinaware, chintzes, India silks, or any other of their flimsy, slight manufactures, I would not be so bad with you as to insist on your absolutely resolving against it. All I advise is to put it off, as you do your repentance, till another year, and this, in some respects, may prevent an occasion of repentance. 3. If you are now a drinker of punch, wine, or tea twice a day, for the ensuing year, drink them but once a day. If you now drink them but once a day, do it but every other day. If you do it now but once a week, reduce the practice to once a fortnight, and if you do not exceed in quantity as you lessen the times, half your expenses in these articles will be saved. 4. When you incline to drink rum, fill the glass half with water. Thus, at the year's end, there will be 100,000 pounds more money in your country. If paper money in ever so great quantity could be made, no man could get any of it without giving something for it, but all he saves in this way will be his own for nothing, and his country actually so much richer than the merchants. Old and doubtful debts may be honestly paid off, and trading becomes sure thereafter, if not so extensive. Well, that was a nice little one about saving money. I think that people even today could learn from this one. Maybe they should republish it. And then again, we have one more. Poor Richard's Almanack, 1738, Volume 2. 5 Monday, July hath 31 days. 1 month a lawyer, thou the next will be a grave physician, and the third a priest. Choose quickly one profession of the 3. Married to her, thou yet mayest court the rest. Resolve at once, deliberate no more. Leap in and stand not. Shiv ring on the shore. On any one amiss thou canst not fall. Thou'lt end in nothing if thou grasp at all. Since I cannot govern my own tongue, thou within my own teeth, how can I hope to govern the tongues of others? 'Tis less discredit to abridge petty charges than to stoop to petty gettings. Since thou art not sure of a minute, throw not away an hour. 6 Monday, August hath 31 days. While faster than his costive brain indites, Philo's quick hand in flowing nonsense writes. His case appears to me like honest Teague's when he was run away with by his legs. Phoebus, give Philo o'er himself command, quicken his senses, or restrain his hand. Let him be kept from paper, pen, and ink, so he may cease to write and learn to think. If you do what you should not, you must hear what you would not. Defer not thy well-doing. Be not like St. George, who is always a horseback and never rides on. Wish not so much to live long as to live well. 7 Monday, September hath 30 days. These lines may be read backward or forward. Joy, mirth, triumph, I do defy. Destroy me, death, fain would I die. Forlorn am I, love is exiled. Scorn smiles, threat, hope is beguiled, men banished, blissed, in woe must dwell, then joy, mirth, triumph, all farewell. As we must account for every idle word, so we must for every idle silence. I have never seen the Philosopher's Stone that turns lead into gold, but I have known the pursuit of it turn a man's gold into lead. Never entreat a servant to dwell with thee. 8 Monday, October hath 31 days. A doubtful meaning. The female kind is counted ill, and is indeed the contrary. No man can find that hurt thy will, but everywhere shrew charity to no body, malicious still. In word or deed, believe you me. Time is an herb that cures all disease. Reading makes a full man, meditation a profound man, discourse a clear man. If any man flatters me, I flatter him again, though he were my best friend. 9 Monday, November hath 30 days. A monster in a course of vice grown old leaves to his gaping heir his ill-gained gold. The preacher feed straight are his virtues shone, and rendered lasting by the sculptured stone. If on the stone or sermon we rely, pity a worth like his should ever die. If credit to his real life we give, pity a wretch like him should ever live. Wish a miser long life, and you wish him no good. None but the well-bred man knows how to confess a fault, or acknowledge himself in an error. Drive thy business not. Let not that drive thee. There is much difference between imitating a good man and counterfeiting him. 10 Monday, December hath 31 days. The wise man says, it is a wise man's part to keep his tongue close, prisoner in his heart. If he then be a fool whose thought denies there is a God, how desperately unwise! How much more fool is he whose language shall proclaim in public there's no God at all? What then are they, nay, fools, in what degree, whose actions shall meditate? Such fools are we. Wink at small faults, remember thou hast great ones. Eat to please thyself, but dress to please others. Search others for their virtues, thyself for thy vices. Never spare the parson's wine, nor baker's pudding. Each year One vicious habit rooted out in time might make worse man good throughout. Okay, I hope that we're done with all the almanacs. I think we've read like 8 of them. They're not really my thing. Even, like I said, I get most of them. They're fine. They tell you about the weather. They have some funny stuff in them. It's just not, it's really whatever. It's very extra, you know? They're interesting enough, I guess, but yeah, I just hope that they're done. Anyways, there is plenty to do left for side missions. I don't think we have them really unlocked. We have to go back to Peg Leg and do some of those. But for now, this episode is basically just almanacs. And we're going to go ahead and end the episode here. If you made it this far, I doubt that you did. Tell me in the comments so I can get a bid. Okay, it rhymed, but it wasn't good. Yeah, but anyways, comment, like, subscribe, dislike, comment, and comment. I just like to respond to the comments, so yeah, do what you gotta do, and have a great day while Connor gets the crap beat out of him. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and goodbye.
Where is your leader?
You'll never get to him. He's surrounded by twice as many men, twice as tough as this lot.